Hi everyone, in this video you're going to learn how to create your load part. As you can see here, I have so many part studios. I'm going to rename my part studio, I got a bit busy. So load, so this is going to be the load. Remember, I'm going to have to make 3 copies of this because I want to go over 3 types of levers. So I'm already going to duplicate one of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create this load, obviously. So I'm going to go and create a new part studio by going to the gray tab, clicking on the plus, and creating a new part studio. After I create the new part studio, I'm first going to right click, rename it, and I'm going to rename it load blue. Okay, just load. So I'm going to start off by creating my load on the top plane, if I'm not wrong. Hold on, let me just make sure I'm not telling you people's wrong stuff. Otherwise, I'm gonna be a very bad teacher. Did I make my sketch on the, okay, hold on, sorry, I'm having technical difficulties right now. So how I'm going to check that I made my sketch is I'm going to go to my sketch one, click on edit, and it's going to show me I made it on my front plane. Okay, for this project, technically, we're going to be working a lot on the front plane, so if I ever have technical difficulties, it's usually because the sketch is on front plane. So I'm going to right click, make a new sketch, and I'm going to draw a trapezoid. So my trapezoid is going to be from the base here, and it just doesn't, it can be a really rough trapezoid that doesn't even really, I mean, it is a trapezoid, but it doesn't really look like a trapezoid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to constrain it completely. I'm going to horizontal constraint these 2 lines. Then I'm going to equal constraint these 2 lines. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dimension, right? Dimensioning is really important. So I'm going to right click on my sketch, click on edit, and it's going to show me that the base was 35. Okay. So if my base was 35, that basically means dimension has to be 35. Okay, I'm saying base too much. And my side length is 22. So my side length is 22. And my top length is 25. All right. So I'm pretty sure that's all I have to do. Let me just make sure. Yep, that's a massive trapezoid. But then something else I notice is that if I'm not wrong, the origin is in the center. So I think I may, actually, you know what? Let's just finish the sketch. It doesn't really matter. It's okay. I'm gonna click the trapezoid, extrude it to 25 millimeters, make sure it's on new, then click the green check, make sure your extrusion was complete. Yay! So now to make that little handle, so I'm going to click a green check. So now to make this handle over here. This part can get a little complicated, so it helps to watch my video on sweep, which was the mug tutorial. So, okay, first I'm going to go to my top, and I'm going to start a sketch on this top side. I'm going to right click and make a new sketch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from the first midpoint of the top side and the second midpoint, just like that. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to form a center point circle. It doesn't really have to be a specific size yet. We're going to dimension that later on, but it just has to be, the center point has to be on the line. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dimension them. Each circle should have a diameter of 3 millimeters. So I'm going to use the equal constraint to make them equal no matter what. So there we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the distances are okay. So I'm going to make sure that the distance from this side to this side, oops, sorry. I clicked the wrong thing. I'm going to dimension from this side to this circle. It's going to be 3. Oops, sorry, 3. Circle from here to here is going to be 3. Oops, something wrong. Okay, let's see what went wrong here. I'm going to select this circle, the side, to, I see. Okay, I'm going to go into dimension, make this side and this side, the distance must equal 3. I see. Maybe it's because of the, I see, okay. So the reason why it's not able to move is because there's a coincident constraint, right? So when I hover over this circle, I see a coincident constraint. So I'm going to actually remove all coincident constraints so that when I see that the circle is blue, I know that I've clicked the right constraint to delete. So I'm going to make the distance between each 3. So I have clearly not deleted the right constraint yet. So, oh, okay, there was one remaining. Let's make sure that there's no more. So I'm just going to delete this line now to prevent any further coincident constraints. It really wasn't needed. It was just for guiding. I'm going to make this 3 now. I wonder why this is not working. Okay then. Let me just redraw the circle. I'm going to draw my line from the midpoint to way here. Make this a construction line. That was something I didn't do before. A construction line makes sure that your line is not part of the original sketch. So I'm going to draw my circle somewhere around here. Okay, I'm gonna hover, make sure there's no coincident constraints. Make sure they don't get too attached to each other. Make the side dimensions. Make the side dimension, like the distance. Okay. Hopefully this works. Yes! Okay, it's the best feeling when you fix something. So now I'm going to dimension the circle to 3 millimeters. And then I'm going to make sure the distance between, what's the distance? 13 millimeters. All right. So now that that's done, we can finish the sketch. Don't worry, we're not done yet. Don't freak out. No. So I'm going to go into isometric view and go to my front plane. Yeah, do a new sketch on this plane, and I'm going to zoom in. So after I zoom in, I see these 2 points over here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my arc from these 2 points. So you see these points, make them as close as possible to the points. It's okay, we're going to go back in from zooming and make the arc height, make the arc height 20, not 26. So if I were to go back and refer into my sketch, edit, the distance, I believe, was 8 millimeters. So if it was 8 millimeters, I just need to go into dimension and make it 8 millimeters. There we go. Now it's looking like a real one, real sweep. So when I zoom in as close as possible, I can see the midpoint of the arcs, midpoint of the circles. So how I'm going to use coincidence constraint to make them both in the same place. So I'm going to do that for the second place as well. I'm gonna zoom in. I apologize if the zooming in is making you dizzy. There we go. Gonna go in back into isometric. And there we have it. Don't freak out that these the arc is not exactly on the circles, it's completely okay. The sweep is still going to happen because of a very special feature that I will explain later on. So I'm going to first select a sweep, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to select my two circles for my faces slash regions to sweep, and my sweep path is going to be this arc. Um, oh, and then you have to make sure, hold on. Oh, no, that's not what we want. I selected the wrong pieces, see? That's what happens when you're not careful with what you're selecting. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in even more to make sure I'm only select this path. There we go. Be careful what you're selecting, because if you don't select the right things, it's not gonna turn out well. So make sure you're in Add. Make sure you have the two circles selected. Make sure you are selecting your sweep path of the edge of sketch 3. And make sure your merge scope is part 1. I'm going to click the green check button. And voila! There we have our load. So now to make our little title for the load. So how this is kind of complicated, reason being that this is a trapezoid. It has slant edges. So before I get into how we're going to orient the text, let's just actually create the text. So I'm going to create a new sketch on this side. Then I'm going to go into my text, go all the way here, then write load, and I'm going to click the green check. So this is going to give this massive text. No worries, we're just going to dimension it to make it super small. So we're going to make it 20 millimeters. So actually 25. Let's make it 25. Let's make it a bit bigger. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a line from this point all the way down. So, and then we're going to make it a construction line, because we don't want this to be counted as part of the sketch. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dimension the text to here. I only want the distance to be 1 millimeter. Let's see how that works. There we go. So now I want this centering. I don't want it to be that weirdly, like that far from each other. So I think I'm going to make it 10. That's a bit too low for me. I want to try making it, what do I want to make it? I'm going to make it 5 millimeters. See how far that takes it. I want to move it down a little bit, so I apologize for all the moving. I think 7's the charm. So I'm going to click the green check button, because that's all I want. This looks perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude the text. So it's going to be a bit off center just because it's a trapezoid, and if I were to dimension from the slanted edge to the straight text edge, it's going to be giving you a degree, which is not going to be the best way to move it. So it's going to be a bit off centered, which is completely okay. I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to extrude my text, and I'm going to make sure it's selected the right ones. Yep. So I want to make the depth 3 millimeters. Make sure you're in your Add tab, and then click the green check. That's how you make your load. But before I let you go, I'm going to rename my part. So rename, and I'm going to make it load. Then I'm going to right click on edit appearance, and I'm going to make it dark blue. I love the shade of blue, if any of you wanted to know, but okay. This is how you make the load. Please be on the watch out for the teeter-totter sort of handle thing. And I'll be making that in my next video. If you have any questions, as always, put them down in the comments. Thank you. Bye.